Hi everybody, Stephanie here. It's a beautiful Sunday. It's the 28th of May. And today I'm making this small video about how we're going to go about flashing your newly acquired FNX1591. Now, when you receive your drive, it's blank. And the reason for it to be blank is for obvious reasons. Being only an individual and not wanting to be cut into legal battle, the drive comes without firmware. Till the day I decide to provide my own firmware, it comes empty. It is on your shoulder, and this is your responsibility to find the proper firmware, and preferably a firmware that you have acquired, which means that you have actually paid the necessary cost and fees to obtain the license so you can use that said firmware. Now, obviously, if you have, for example, a 1581 at home, then you have said, to a certain degree, said license, considering that you can use that very firmware to be put in the 1591, because basically if you use one you don't use the other ones, so it's basically a thing. It's something you can, it's relatively kosher, let's put it this way. If you want to use Jiffy DOS, you can buy a license. You don't need to buy the EEPROM or Flash, whatever. You don't need to have like a hardware requirement. You don't need to buy anything. You just need to buy the license and the binary file off where they sell Jiffy DOS. I'm sorry, I've completely forgot. I'll put the link in the description. In either cases, because the 1581 came in two versions, so they're usually pretty easy to acquire. The Jiffy DOS is, like I said, you pay like $5 or $6 and you're being sent an email, you got a binary file, and that's what we need. So you need to get the 32K bit binary file, and this is what you'll need to flash your newly acquired 1591. And so today what I'm going to do is to show you how to do it. Now, there are three possibilities, three platforms that you can do that with, but today we're going to talk specifically with the PC. So you have the PC, the OS, basically what I meant, the PC, Windows, you have Linux, and you have Mac. Now, up till not so long ago, it was very difficult to flash things from a Mac, and using Linux is a bit tricky, and I'm not going to focus too much on this today. I'm proficient in PC. I'm going to do it in PC with an application that you can download. Probably in the web page that you found that video, you'll find the link to get the loader, the uploader. There will be a script as well, a Python script, which is basically the same kind of script we use to program all the other Phoenix's products. So it's a pretty well-known procedure. But lately with the Mac, there was an issue with the USB chip that I was using in the products, because we use the same chip everywhere. So because of the flow control not being connected, it was a problem, but now apparently it's working. So some people have to work it out a little bit, but with the Python script, you could actually make it work on the Mac, apparently, with Python and all that. I actually made a video how to install all these things and to use the script. But today I will focus on the PC. I sure hope most of people will be okay with this. It's not a big deal. It takes about 3 minutes to do this. It's really fast. So I'll get into it. So if you ever had any Phoenix product before, this is the first time. I don't know, maybe you're a Commodore users, you were interested to get a new drive. The first thing you need to do is install the driver for the USB chip inside the drive to be able to communicate with it. And so I will enable this. I will disable, no, not this, sorry. And while I'm trying to find the setting up my windows, please forgive me from not making this video more fancy. I really don't have a lot of time, so I need to cut it short to the chase, and it's not pretty, but it's meaningful. That's what the point is. So okay, as you can see, this is the chip we use. It's a Max Linear, although they changed names about 20 different company was bought like 20 times over. So it was XR, and then it's Max Linear, and probably there was other people before. But anyway, so that's the part we use. And so let me browse here. So I'm going to put the link below in the description. So you would go and get the Windows. I don't know if I can zoom this in. There's a new driver they came up with in January 2023. So you see, there you go. So I need to do it like, so this one here. So January, this is for Windows. There's one for Linux. I think it works. But for Mac, it's a really old version for Mac. So it's not really working. I might have to make another video about Mac, but if you can find yourself a laptop or something, like I said, it's really quick. So you download these things, you download this driver, you install this driver, and you should, when you get your driver, let me, no, not this, no, not this, what did I do? This one, yes. Okay, so when this is no, not this one, sorry. Okay, so when you're done, you should have a XR21b1411 when after you plugged your drive. Okay, so I have, this is my original, the first revision A of the drive, because I have big ends. This is the Rev A of the drive, which I tried to dye. It was white, and I tried to dye it with this stuff, if you want to know. And on the camera it looks blue, but it's a bit more purple, but it's not super purple. Yeah, you can do this. It's not going to turn up the color you want, but hey, it was a fun experience. Okay, so you're going to plug the power in your system. Okay, so the way it works is that when you plug your USB cable, which is a mini USB cable, what's going to happen is that the USB will supply the chip. So automatically, if there's no power on the drive, you'll see it in your description of your hardware description thingy in Windows, right? But it doesn't supply the drive, right? So you need to power on the drive, and in order to be able to program the board, okay, to flash your binary inside. So make sure you grasp that. So yes, the USB is connected, the drive, the chip is being supplied to be able to get the config and everything. But if you start sending your stuff, it's not going to work. You need to supply your drive and power it on. All right. So that being said, this is the drive, and it's supplied with a 12 volt, 2.5 millimeter barrel connector. It can be a 9 volt, can be a 12 volt. It can be a couple of amps. It doesn't draw a lot. It's just that fundamentally with today's power supply you can buy off Amazon, they're really cheap, and there's not, most of them have been kind of geared towards supplying LEDs, RGB strips and stuff like this, and usually these LEDs don't need like a very, very well filtered power supply. So they tend to cheapen on the capacitor side, on the other side of the switching power supply, and so it's very, very noisy. So what I ask people is usually to invest a little bit more to get a power supply that will supply more current, like 5, 6, 10 amps, whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point, but more than just half an amp or 1 amp. We'll probably just use half an amp, but in power supply that supply 5 or 6, there's way more capacitors, filter capacitor, which makes the quality of the power supply way better. So I would definitely recommend that you pay a little bit more, $5-10 more, yes, to acquire a power supply that can supply a lot of current, because the quality of in low current situation, the quality of the power supply will be better. So this is good for the drive, this is good for the F256K, all of them. So it's kind of a rule for me. And again, I'm not drawing 60 watts out of this. Like I said, if I draw like a half a watt, it's maximum. The drive it doesn't need a lot, and the circuitry even less. So no big deal there, but it's quality of the power supply. If you have a El Cheapo $10 power supply, you might have issues. So please invest in your power supply. You're going to save yourself a lot of time. All right. So that being said, you need to download. So let's recap. So download the driver off the website. Get yourself a laptop, an old laptop. If you don't have if you're running on Mac or Linux or something, it's really easy. Download this, install it, plug the cable, and supply your drive. So this is the minimum requirements before we can do anything. Now, you will be able to, let's remove some stuff. Okay. So now you will have downloaded the FNX uploader. Now I'm sorry about the whole thing here, because the OBS capture video Windows capture just removes all the little gizmo, and it's a bit of a mess. But so the green one, because I changed the color of this, because essentially I have different version of this piece of software, because I use it to upload different ROM and binary files into different system. We can use it to debug also. So for us today, we're going to use only the upper part of this application. The bottom part is kind of disabled at this point, but I'm kind of short on time, so I would have needed to remove all these windows because they're activated on the other applications for the FNX256K, the Junior, and all these different computers, to be able to go read the memory and so on and so forth. Like you can go write memory inside, and like a block inside the memory, the RAM, and you can go read it back. And it's a debug port, so you can, but in that case, it's more like a flashing port. So for the time being, that's basically what I can offer you. So please ignore the bottom part. So let's focus on the top part. So I would say that this is the top part I'm talking about. So this is really the upper part. So it's very simple. I think everybody will get it. First of all, you're going to choose the COM port where the XR24 something in your hardware, Windows is describing all your hardware. You'll find, if you don't have your XP22 or XR22, well, you didn't install your drive properly, something is wrong. So don't waste your time on that part. It's very important to just get your ports set up properly, and then everything else will be fine. Because the deal is that the communication in between these two things is really fast. It's 6 megabit per second. That's the baud rate. So you really need the driver for it to work. So you choose your COM port. Now, there's inside the drive. I put like a 512K flash, because it's 256K or 512K. There was like 50 cents difference. There is 16 slots of 32K, right? So you can have 16 firmware in there. Okay, there's not 16 firmware for the drive. There's only 3. As far as I'm concerned, but who knows, maybe somebody will come up with more. So in the drive, I don't have the sticker on this one because it's the old version. Sorry, I don't have the new version. I shipped them all, so I don't have one. So for every ROM slot or firmware slot you have in the flash, you have a different color for the activate LED, right? So, for example, this one is blue. The blue is the third slot. This is where my GFDOS is. If you put it on the last slot, it's going to be purple. The colors are on the stickers of your drive if you turn your drive around. The first one is white, the second is red, the third one is blue. If you don't want to have those colors, you want to choose one of the other colors, you choose the slot you want. Doesn't matter where. You just have to program it in the slot and then tell the dip switches or program the dip switches to have that specific slot. So you don't need to have something at 0 specifically. You can have it anywhere you want. You choose the color. Okay, I tried to put as many colors. Some look alike a little bit with those RGB LEDs. Sometimes it's very difficult to have a different color. So maybe overall for 16 slots, you might have like 8 like really different colors. So if you like colors and you don't want the white or the blue, just install it in a different slot and just put the dip switch to the slot you want. Okay, so second step is to choose the slot you want. Now you don't see my drop down menu, but there's a drop down menu and you need to pick one. All right, so this is the slot you're going to pick. So like I said, you can have the 15. It's really the location in the flash where it's going to be. 6. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. Okay, but you need to pick one. If you don't pick one, it's not going to work, or it's going to be flashing somewhere, because the value by default, I think it's 0. But for the sake of making this thing work properly the first time, and you don't come and ask me why it doesn't work, please make sure that you choose the first or whatever. I'm not going to flash it. Well, maybe I will. Okay, let's try the slot 5. Okay, I don't have anything in the slot 5. Okay, obviously the third part is to choose a file. Now, considering the file, like I said, I don't take any responsibility for the file you choose. You put in your drive. How you got the file, it's not my business. The drive is blank. You do whatever you want, okay? Like I said, I really recommend that you go pick up a Jiffy DOS ROM if you're worried about the copyright issues and licensing issues. That's probably the best bet anyway. It's a great OS. It's going to do great on every Commodore computers. And it's going to work on the Phoenix products as well. So I think it's the safe bet. It's the latest thing. Well, it's the latest thing. I mean, they didn't do anything on that thing for ages. But anyway, so I'm going to choose Jiffy DOS. And like I said, I would normally, I don't touch the bottom part. Nothing to see here. It's a big nothing burger, so no, don't do anything here. So obviously the next step is to connect with your drive. So we're gonna connect. At that point, you have the possibility to send your binary. I'm not sure if that drive can flash, but anyway, we'll see if it works. So you'll get a Windows, and let's see if I can pick this one up. I think it'd be great if I could pick this one up. Let's see. No, that's not what I want. Hold on. Windows capture. Windows capture, okay. Okay, so there you go. Fade. Okay, so you're gonna get a Windows like that. Are you sure you want to flash your system? So already, if you have that picture, that Windows, that pop-up window, it means that the communication is working. So this is a great clue. So if you don't get that Windows and it says boom, it doesn't work, I cannot communicate, you have an issue with your COM port. All right, so go back to it, and yeah. So you're going to answer yes, right? So you answer yes, and then it's going to, whoops, I'm going to remove that. Okay, so it's going to answer yes, it's going to flash, it's going to erase the sector. So it's going to erase 4 sectors, and then it's going to flash your unit. And then you're done. Okay, so that means that the Jiffy DOS has been put in slot 5, which is the 6th block from the beginning, because we started 0, so 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th slot, right? So you have a firmware there. Very easy, right? And then basically the only thing you need to do is, hold on, I'm going to get some stickers. Where's my stickers? All right, so you're gonna go, and underneath your drive, sorry, it's inverted. Is it inverted? Yes, it's inverted. You're going to go pick did I put 1 to 15 or 0 to 15? 0 to 15. Okay, 0. So you're gonna choose 5. You're gonna choose 5 here. So you're gonna encode the dip switches to get 5, and then you're going to power it off, because the slot you choose doesn't mean that of course the firmware is not set. The CPU will boot on whatever the dip switch says. So change your dip switch for 5 and you should boot in your Jiffy DOS. And that's it. There's nothing very difficult about this. But yeah, so this is the PC way of doing it. In the script version, which I will probably add in the website page later, is you'll get a setup, a script file, or you'll have to install Python, the drivers that you already have. You'll have to install PySerial, Python, and then you can run the script. And usually it comes with a CSV file with describe which file you want to have where. And it's really easy to do as well. It's just a bit more, like old-fashioned, let's put it this way. I'm not a fan of that thing because you need to set up the path in the system, and it's kind of tricky. I like just downloading, installing, and running. But some people are okay with this. So Linux people will use the Python script. It will be very easy. You just say which port it is and what file, and it's going to run, and it's going to be done in no time. Again, don't forget to change your dip switches, power off the drive, power on the drive, and you'll get the Jiffy DOS, and then you can plug it and have fun. And that's it. You want to upgrade it, you want to change it, you want to change the slot, you don't like that color anymore, knock yourself out. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So I hope I covered everything you needed to know. You can come on Discord if you have issues. I can be reached on Twitter if you don't want to come on Discord. The link for Discord will be in the description as well. So yeah, I hope you have fun, and thank you for watching, and thank you for enjoying this wonderful product, and I will talk to you soon. I need to fade to black now.